Alright everybody, hello and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Forever United TV. I'm Adam, bringing you all of your up-to-date Manchester United transfer news. That's all we really care about right now. We've got ins, we've got outs. Who is Manchester United's two targets that the Times are saying are going to come in the forward side of things? What's happening with Jadon Sancho? Multiple reports on him. That is our top story again. I love talking about Jadon Sancho leaving Manchester United, and the more and more reports that do come in, I'm all over them, bringing you completely up to date with everything that's going on with that situation. We have a deadline and a price set for both Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho. What is happening this summer? When do Manchester United need to have these players out of the football club? Otherwise, it's going to be all-out war. Well, maybe a bit of an exaggeration there, but I'll explain more as we go through the show. Welcome along, everyone. Please pile into the comment section. Give me your thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking. It's been a quiet day up until this point, late afternoon, and it's all kicked off again. Times are reporting, we're getting a few more sources out from Turkey talking about Jadon Sancho, which is where we're going to start today. So yeah, we've had a little bit of a break. We found out when United are coming back to training. We know exactly what the timescale is now for Manchester United in terms of players coming back, when other players are coming back who's been given a bit more time. And obviously that is going to really play into what Manchester United need to get done regarding the outgoings for Ruben Amorim in particular. You know what I'm talking about there. More on that in a minute. But Sancho, where are we at? What's going on? Are we excited? Jadon Sancho to Turkey. Oh, do you know what? There's part of me that really wants this to happen. There's part of me that believes he's still going to go to Italy on this one. Now, in terms of Italy and what's happening there, quickly, just on Napoli's side of things, we know from what we said this morning, Giovanni Manna, the sporting director, he's not going to pay Jadon Sancho's requested wages or what he wants. Maybe there's negotiations still going on there. Sancho's got eggs in a few baskets at the moment because there's a link with Juve, which we're going to talk about. Obviously, the Napoli one as well. And, of course, now we've got the Turkey one. Now, we reported this Turkey that there was an Arab club from the Saudi Pro League and a Turkish team in for Jadon Sancho. It is Jose Mourinho. Jadon Sancho will be worshipped like a god, like every player that goes to Fenerbahce or to any club in Turkey. We know this, and we know there is that appeal. Maybe Jadon Sancho needs that little bit of love. Maybe he needs that feeling like he's a big player again and getting the big welcome over there in Istanbul when the players arrive off the plane. You know what it is. You've seen the scenes, haven't you? And you know Jadon Sancho would get that. He's a big name still, no matter what we think of him as Manchester United fans, and he still is going to be a big deal over there in Turkey. Do I believe this deal is happening? The story has been driven from Turkish outlets and from Turkish media. In fact, I'll bring up the exact one now. So Fenerbahce have made significant progress in their pursuit of Jadon Sancho, and the deal is moving very, very close. Murat Zorlu, who is of Sports Digital, which is a Turkish publication over there. Big, yes, big, probably one of the biggest. They do a lot of coverage around Fenerbahce, and they are like the marker for Fenerbahce that marker are for Real Madrid type of newspaper. MEN for Manchester United, you know, the Echo, Liverpool, you know what I mean? Like that one that does a lot of the reporting around that club. So it is Turkish driven, and the only reason I'm saying this and bringing this up is because we've got Jadon Sancho now being linked with Turkey. This now provides us with a bit of a pool for Jadon Sancho to go and a bigger pond for Jadon Sancho to fish in terms of what he wants. We know that Napoli wants him. We know that Fenerbahce wants him. We know that Juventus want him. So club side, valuation, no issue at all. What we're talking about here is Jadon Sancho's wages, and if he can play one of the other clubs off each other, try and find a deal that he wants. Now, before this all happened today as well, there was a very clear message, and Graham Bailey was talking about his demands to Manchester United if he is to leave. Now, his demands were that Manchester United pay his wages for any move. Now, that means paying him out of his last year of his contract on a permanent deal, or paying for his wages if he goes out on loan. Sod off. See you later, you idiot. What player ever thinks that he can talk like that? I'm sure there's been a little bit of a meeting, a powwow between Rashford, Garnacho and Sancho over this last week or something, because there is some ridiculous shouts coming out from these players at the moment. But Jadon Sancho expects Manchester United to cover all costs if they want to get rid of him. Man, shut up, you absolute lemon. I mean, seriously, as if that is ever going to happen. Like, we've done 2 loan deals already where most of your wages have been paid and by the club that's taken you. So you know that's not going to happen anyway. anyway. So the Graham Bailey story, I'm not fully convinced of anyway. We know the situation with loans. It's like a half and half, a 3/4 payment of wages and covered. If it is a transfer fee, you would normally get a little bit of both coming into this in terms of Manchester United negotiating a fee that they know that part of is going to be paying off the last part of the wages of a certain player. The fee goes up if the player's on a big contract because obviously they need to cover that contract in buying the player out of his deal. So that all gets negotiated into a transfer fee, and United have got that covered in what they feel they need to move forward on the Jadon Sancho situation. 5 million in the pot already, which is a big chunk of his wages for the last year of his contract. Obviously, there's still one more instalment to go as well. So United know that they're basically breaking even no matter what happens with Jadon Sancho. The 5 million and the 21 million, which the other clubs are willing to pay, pretty much gets us out of there with a little bit on top, a little bit of change. We're not bothered because that is a big, like we've described before here on FUTV United TV, that is a big commitment out of the way financially, which we're making payments on yearly. The wages and the instalments for Jadon Sancho. 20 million minimum is what we're paying right now with that wage package and with the transfer fee and instalments that we still got to pay for him. But that, I think, is all United are looking to do right now. They know that they haven't got blockbuster players that are going to fetch absolutely huge amounts of money. They're just trying to balance their books to get through another financial year. And Jadon Sancho off them books, clean of debt, is massive for the club. So that's it. Just him gone is all that Manchester United are looking for. So anyone expecting to make money on this deal and thinking that we've got that to spend, no, we've got whatever Jadon Sancho has left behind to spend. So in theory, it's not just 21 million that Manchester United will have to spend on another transfer if Jadon Sancho is sold. It's a possible up to 70, 80 million pound player on PSR books that we can go out and get. And you see where I'm going with that. That's the importance of just getting him out and praying that he can get somewhere where he's going to agree to his wages and what he actually wants. That's where Manchester United are at right now and why we're negotiating everything down to the minor detail with Jadon Sancho, because he's that important to move on. And obviously, it's a headache out of the way, bigger, more importantly. And again, whether it's Fenerbahce, whether it's Juventus, whether it's Napoli. We covered Fenerbahce and where that report is coming from. Jose Mourinho wants Jadon Sancho. And they feel they can afford what Jadon Sancho wants wage-wise, which I find strange because they don't pay a lot. They don't. But then again, apparently Galatasaray have offered a mega contract to Jonathan David to take him away. They were ready to offer major money for the likes of Victor Osimhen as well to help him stay in Istanbul at Galatasaray. And Fenerbahce, obviously being the bigger rivals, are going to have to make their moves as well. So Jadon isn't in the same realm as what Jonathan David and, say, for instance, Victor Osimhen would be in terms of wages, but still quite significant for a club like Fenerbahce. So Jose there looking for that, I think, that British connection there. Jadon Sancho, I think, would do very well in Turkey. I think it suits him down to the ground, the level that is, and that's no disrespect at all. A bit more time on the ball. Skillful player who I think will hit it off. He's playing Champions League football again. And that's what I think he needs to be looking at right now. Can they afford the wages is my only reasoning to thinking there's still probably a better chance him going to Juventus or Napoli at the moment, in my opinion. But look, the Turkish reports feel very, very confident in this, and this deal is now moving forward. I think we can all start to guess, though, what forward means, and then that's a different story altogether, isn't it? So, yeah, Jadon Sancho right now, Fenerbahce, Napoli, we know where that is. Juventus, they are offering now, and the story started to do the rounds this afternoon, they're offering a full-on swap. They're now talking to Manchester United. Look, forget the money. You boys need a striker. You boys need a midfielder. And they have got both in the likes of, like we've spoken before, Dusan Vlahovic and Douglas Luiz, formerly of Aston Villa, like we've spoken about. They're willing to swap. Now, again, I'm not for swaps. I would rather have a clean break, money exchanged, and then you go out and get your target, because that way you can negotiate your own deal for the new player coming in. I don't like swaps. No swapsies for me, thank you. I don't want anybody coming in that doesn't really want to come in. I'd rather have United sell Jadon Sancho, get the money in the bank, clear that debt off, have that room then, PSR-wise, to go out and negotiate your own deal. So if you do a swap deal, what is Dusan Vlahovic worth? Actually on the books for what Juventus are willing to sell him for at the moment, He's worth less than Jadon Sancho. I cannot believe I'm even saying that. You've got a player there that has featured all through the season, a Champions League campaign, and bringing Juventus back into the Champions League, who's worth less than Jadon Sancho. I know, sounds crazy, doesn't it? But that's what Juventus and the reports from Italy are saying. 17 million is the price tag. If Dusan Vlahovic, for instance, if you look at it, whichever way you look at it, you are free of any transfer fee for Dusan Vlahovic. Nothing at all. You swapped it, basically. 17 million. It's near enough what the instalments were for 5 years worth of Jadon Sancho. So you've just got that 1 year. Maybe you just pay that off 1 year. And then you've got his wages, which are less. So reality tells you that there is a real deal there financially to make for Manchester United. But they want bigger and better things. And this is the word that's coming out. I'll move on to this in a minute when we've talked about Jadon Sancho. But you've got Dusan Vlahovic. When we've talked about Jadon Sancho, and we're moving on to something else. You've got Dusan Vlahovic as a full-on swap. You've got the chance of him moving to Turkey. You've got the chance of him moving to Napoli if he can lower his wages and agree a deal with both of them clubs or either of them clubs. I don't think the wages are going to be a problem at Juventus more than Napoli and Fenerbahce, because Juventus have been known to pay the higher wages for players in Italy, one of the biggest spenders when it comes to wages. So, example of that is Dusan Vlahovic, obviously, as well. So, I think they're in an easier position for personal terms for Jadon Sancho than the others. You just want to put all three of them together to make one mega club that's willing to take Jadon Sancho, and then we're laughing. And that's the perfect world for us. But we know in the reality, it's a completely different ballgame for Manchester United. So Vlahovic or Douglas Luiz, which one of them would I take if we were ever going to think of a swap deal? In fact, let's get into the chat on that one. Who would you take? And if there was a swap to have at Juventus, which player would you go for? Would you go for the striker or would you go for the midfielder? Who is the better option, Douglas Luiz or Vlahovic? Vlahovic is younger. Douglas Luiz is experienced, but has Premier League experience in an 8 role. Are there better midfielders out there if we bought Vlahovic compared to are there better forwards out there if we bought Douglas Luiz? I think that's something that we need to think about as well in this, because this is not anything that Manchester United have done before. In this deal, there hasn't really been a swap for a player, apart from Sanchez for Mkhitaryan back in the day, and we all know how that worked out. And never always straightforward. Who would you take? The people in the chat are coming in right now. Luiz. Yildiz is not coming. We're never going to get him. He's too expensive. They want a lot of money for him. Striker says Mark. Vlahovic all day long. Midfielder Douglas Luiz. Vlahovic, Douglas Luiz. Vlahovic, Luiz. Oh my God, it's actually quite a 50-50 split on that one. I didn't expect it to be that close, to be honest. But yeah, well, there you go. There you go. The striker stands out, I think, more than anything. You might change your mind with more news coming up that apparently the Times reporting is the thinking behind Manchester United as well at the moment. And go one way on this one in terms of Vlahovic or indeed Douglas Luiz. I got a feeling you might go for the striker. But hey, look, that's the situation that we have got developing right now with Sancho. I don't think United would go for the swap. I don't think he is going to end up going to Fenerbahce personally, but I'm not counting it out, and the confidence is there. All we can say is this is nearly there, and Sancho has to make a decision soon because there are multiple clubs ready now. And we are less now than a week from hitting July 1st when all of the big signings start to hit home and start to happen. I think this right now is a position United are in because they're fearing that they're not going to get the money that they want. In fact, the Times are actually reporting that Manchester United still reckon, check this out, Manchester United still reckon that they can get 100 million for both Garnacho and Rashford. That's what they think they can recoup. Honestly, this is poor reporting from the Times. It really is. It's come from Charlotte Ducker. And again, I don't want to go in and say this is bad, but talk about trying to state the obvious. Talking about what United want rather than reporting what's actually happening. We all know what United want in the perfect world. Omar Barada thinks we can win the league in 3 years. You ask him the reality question, like I said the other day, like, do you think it will happen rather than what you think could happen? Actually committing to saying what you think will happen compared to what you think might happen are completely different questions. And of course, we know that Manchester United want loads of money for Rashford and Garnacho, but the reality is we're probably not going to get it because of Rashford's situation at the moment. Garnacho is worth a lot of money. He's worth an awful lot of money. And Manchester United can recoup a lot of that. He's worth whatever somebody is willing to pay for him. I've seen lots of people playing down the fact that Manchester United are living in cuckoo land when it comes to wanting a certain amount of money for Garnacho. He's worth what somebody will pay for him. And that's the end of the day. Manchester United have played down the talk of the picture from the Aston Villa shirt-wearing situation. We all know what it was. In reality, we know that United are covering it up by saying that this is a nothing story because they want to actually make some money. And when people are saying that it's United's fault for leaking this picture out, United didn't leak the picture out. Ruben Amorim didn't want this to get out, what he said. He's at a big club in his mind, and he's thinking, whatever I tell these players is going to stay in these walls of Carrington. He's learned a lot of lessons this last 6 months, our man Ruben Amorim, hasn't he? And I think he's learned that things don't quite work at United how other clubs work. And the stories getting out about Garnacho are obviously proof that there still is a big, big issue when players don't get their way at this football club. So United have played down the Aston Villa wearing Rashford shirt scenario. Just another picture. In fact, Romano actually came out earlier on and said that this is a nothing story. It's just another shirt. Doesn't matter. It does matter, and anybody who is well up to date with the situation between Garnacho, Ruben Amorim and Marcus Rashford, i.e. us hardcore supporters, all of you in the chat, because I know you are hardcore, because that's why you're here talking about it. We know that that was a jab, and we know that that is him stirring the pot at Manchester United. I've had so many people. Troy Deeney made a great explanation of this earlier on today when he was talking about Manchester United, how the standards have just slipped. When you come to Manchester United, it's all about United. You don't go out wearing other shirts. If you do something wrong at this football club, you are punished for it, and you are made very aware that you have been wrong, and that just seems to have gone. It seemed to have left Manchester United. The fact that all the other players were liking the post, for the God's sake, tells you exactly where this club is at. It's being laughed at the moment by everybody else. You're supposed to be elite. This would not happen at other big elite football clubs. It would not be allowed. But that's where United are. So United play this down so we don't lose value on Garnacho. That's what it is. Garnacho is the one doing this. He's the one that's devaluing himself, not Manchester United. Manchester United have let nothing leak, give nothing out. This was leaked, and I'm probably guessing this has come from the player side of things now regarding Garnacho. So how much he's actually worth, I think he's playing on what Manchester United are doing right now, because the Times are also saying that United want another 2 forwards, including Bryan Mbeumo. Now, the Mbeumo deal, as we know, is going to get done. Them talks are ongoing this week, and hopefully by the end of this week, we will have that final decision and what the price is actually going to be, and United get the deal done. We've talked about that already with Bryan Mbeumo. But when you look at where United are at in terms of that number 9, the striker, which is clearly the other forward, it's Bryan Mbeumo and a striker. We're not going to bring in another 10. Not going to happen. We know that. And I think everybody who's been following the situation with Man United's transfer window knows the main target is a 9 now. It's where the 9 comes from. And this is why I won't play down the Dusan Vlahovic card. I honestly, if you'd have asked me 2 weeks ago, I'd have said no chance that Dusan Vlahovic ends up at Manchester United. But then the Sancho situation happened. Then Vlahovic made it clear that he wanted out of Juventus, wants to move to Manchester United, talk of taking a lower wage as well. And all of this started to do the rounds. And now you're looking at United really looking like they're out of options. Can United actually get that money for Rashford and Garnacho this summer? I don't think we can. I really don't think we can. I think there's even a chance that both of them end up going out on loan, and United just take them off the books for a year. I think that's what might happen to both of these players. It depends who has got the money. Garnacho is a 20-year-old lad with all the potential in the world. If someone can harness him, they have got a good old player there in Garnacho. He could be absolutely fantastic. But we do know that he has got his flaws, and the flaws are all anybody's talking about at the moment. He's had a very poor second half of the season, and it's coincided with Ruben Amorim coming through the door. And this is the spat. That's what's happening right now. If Ten Hag was still here, we probably would be all fighting to try and keep Garnacho because he's saving the club. But that's not progression at on the football pitch for Manchester United. We cannot keep relying on Moments FC and players just pulling off worldies every now and then to bail Man United out of a crap performance, which is all we was doing last season. And you know we was. And we started that this season as well. The odd moment here and there and a player bails us out and then we start playing more confidently because we're in front and we get away with it. We've never been in control of one game this season, apart from the semi-final against Bilbao. That was it. And this is all Manchester United are. We are just a moments club at the moment, and we're trying to move away from that. So, yeah, Ruben has come in and tried to change that, turn us into a system team, and it's failed miserably for him. And now the club are having to back him significantly this window. Where the times get Manchester United wanting another 2 forwards, wanting to bring wing-backs in, also midfielder and a goalkeeper. If you listen to the Times are saying Man United are going to make another 5 signings this summer on top of Cunha, which is what everybody wants. Everybody would be loving that, but everybody's sat here looking at the situation right now and going, this is going to be one hell of a July, isn't it then? Everything's going to happen. Look, Samuel Luckhurst has come out and said that Man United are going to be week by week getting busier and busier as July goes forward because it's the new financial year. We will see. We will see. We're on the countdown to that. And I do expect things to start to really kick into gear with United once we hit the July months, because that's normal transfer season, really, isn't it? So 1st of July, that's when everything starts happening. It's usually a month off. But that has turned into a very... Is it advantageous, sort of? Is that the right word? Type of situation for the likes of the Club World Cup sides and Liverpool, who didn't spend money last summer. And this, I think, right now, honestly, is Manchester United's best chance of trying to get ahead. If we get a boomer over the line and then go into the July months, like we said this morning, with a plan in place, knowing that you have got cut down prices for all of these players if necessary, and we are ready to go. You look at the names of the strikers that Man United are now being linked with. We've gone from Gyökeres and Osimhen and then Ekitike down to Vlahovic, Moise Kean, and God knows, I can't even think of the other names that have been brought out there. But clearly unproven players that Manchester United are looking at here in terms of the Premier League. And it's going to be a difficult couple of months in the transfer window for United to try and find a striker that actually does hit the mark. Very difficult indeed. Right, let's get into some of these comments and give you your chance. I've talked about quite a lot there. There has been a lot happened this afternoon after a very quiet day, like we said, early doors. Anthony P, welcome to the Members Club, my man. You did that earlier on, I think, before the show started, so thank you. Auntie L says, Ghana just knocked about 15 mil off his value. We've discussed all of this. Like, what does this do to Garnacho's actual price tag, and what does it do to possible teams coming in for Garnacho? Is it put them off? I mean, again, United have played it down. It's a nothing story. They're just going to say that the fans have got upset like I did. I still stand by what I said. I'm not going to change my mind. I know what Garnacho's doing. I know he's petulant, and he's proved it before. Form. He's everything. He's done it. He's got previous. Leopard never changes his spots. That's how I see it. And Garnacho has definitely done this knowing exactly what was going to happen from it. And he's now manufacturing a move away from Manchester United, I feel, more than anything. Adam, I'm scared. Season getting dicey, says Orlando. Don't calm down. When we sign in Bumo, you'll feel a lot better, knowing that we've got 2 full-on, top-quality professional players in our side, mate. So be chilled. It's all right. I'm here to help. I'll bring the positivity forward, but only when I know it's clear and obvious. And Mbumo will happen for Manchester United. And then we move forward. Like, Sancho is looking closer and closer to going now. So that's one big issue out of the door. Then we can move forward. I'm sure as July hits, Anthony's situation will start to develop as well. Like we've said before, with other teams now financially being able to come in and put their bids forward. We've already had a couple of clubs rumoured to be willing to pay what Manchester United want for Anthony. There's only Betis on the table at the moment. So that, again, is an interesting development which is going to come through when we get into July as well. And that will just make room for United to make the necessary progress in bidding for certain players. I am going to be talking on a video on Football Talks after this regarding other strikers and forwards as well. Not with United. You'll have to wait and see on that one. So do watch that video later on as well. It'll be out shortly after this video. NFL football in USA, clauses in players' contracts that covers personal conducts are detrimental to the team. This gives teams a chance to cancel or void contracts to a degree and eject players. Need this in the Prem. What you do need to do is there needs to be a cap on agents. There needs to be a controlling factor in the agent side of things, because they're the ones that are negotiating these contracts willy-nilly in getting everything, empowering the player into doing what he wants. We've just allowed the agents to take over the game, basically, and it does need regulating. It does. And where has this independent regulator gone that was supposedly happening? It's been a year since that announcement was made, and where's that? It's nowhere near. Nowhere near. Adam, in 3 weeks, pre-season starts, and I don't even like Amorim, but only one signing and players he doesn't need in the pre-season. The team that finished 15th, only one signing is demoralising. It is, but it's one more signing than Spurs, Newcastle, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, level with Chelsea, and they're in the Club World Cup. Honestly, mate, it's not just Manchester United. That's what you got to look at. We're actually ahead of everybody else. And again, if we get through to starting this pre-season, maybe the game against Leeds or heading out on tour, and we haven't got maybe at least 2 or 3 signings in, I'll be with you. I'll be starting to worry, and I'll be asking questions. Like, big questions need to be answered if that's the case. And Manchester United are still at where we are now. But I cannot in a million years see a situation developing where we haven't already signed Mbeumo by the time we're back for pre-season training. And by the way, United did announce today that the players will start to return to pre-season on the 7th of July. So that's 2 weeks today, in fact. Pre-season training starts ahead of that first game over in Sweden against Leeds. So that is obviously something that everybody's going to be looking at, using as a time scale. And this is what I meant by the time on Rashford and Garnacho, because I think 2 weeks to really make a decision on what's going to happen with them two players. Knowing that everyone's back on the 7th of July and knowing that all of the players are returning, I think there was a story going around that Cunha's going to be back on the 10th. A few players coming back at different moments. Obviously, you had the internationals for the likes of Bruno, Cunha, Casemiro, players like this, Antony as well, because he should be coming back. All of the international players are back. I think they're a few days later. All of the players who didn't feature in internationals are going to be coming back around the 7th, so the start of the week on the Monday. So that's where we're looking at for a decision. We need someone ideally to obviously come in, get Sancho, get him out. Let's find out who's got money for Antony when this July window opens. And obviously Marcus Rashford needs to make his bleeding mind up on what he's doing. I just don't see a world in where he actually participates in pre-season. If he has told Barcelona that he's waiting for them, he's not going to be in pre-season because of the fallout with Manchester United. He knows that Barcelona can only afford a loan for him. He's just giving them all of the power to come at Manchester United. What if the scenario comes around where United just tell Barcelona, no, F off. You're not taking us for a ride. We're not paying all of his wages. You're not getting what you want out of us. In a way, I would love for the scenario of Manchester United getting rid of Garnacho, Antony goes, Sancho goes, and Rashford doesn't make a deal. I would love for someone like Rashford, and it sounds really mean and horrible of me to say this, but I'm a United fan, and he doesn't care about the United fan base, so why should I care about him? He has earned a fortune out of this football club, and he's in one of the most privileged positions that anyone who loves football can be in, playing for Manchester United. And I would love a scenario where United get rid of the other three and just tell Barcelona where to go, and then just say to Marcus Rashford, you're going to rot. You can forget about the World Cup, mate. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Go and get Dwayne on the phone right now and tell him you need to find another Premier League club, because this move that you think is going to happen for you, again, because you've got this big idea about you and where you are in your career and how good you are, that isn't the reality anywhere else. You're going Barcelona? Well, no, you're not going Barcelona. You're going to rot on the sidelines again, and then everybody's going to be looking at you wondering why and what happened to Marcus Rashford again. Because United, if they back Ruben Amorim, Rashford doesn't stand a chance. And if he wants in that Tuchel side for the 2026 World Cup, he needs to be playing regular football. The man is an idiot if he thinks that he's going to get into that Barcelona side and play regular to prove a point to Thomas Tuchel. He will be found out instantly. Honestly, I don't get it. I've always said that I don't get it. But that scenario, I wouldn't have a problem with. I'm done with Marcus Rashford completely. Absolutely finished with him and his attitude. So if he wants to wait it out for Barca, if I was United, I know we need the money. I know we need it. But if we move Sancho and Anthony on, we can still make a couple of signings that we need to make. And look, sometimes the players that you really want are just not there in a window. It's like we want Adam Wharton. We can't get in this summer. So we wait it out. We bring somebody else in who can do it. Fill that team up with Premier League experience. I would go out and I would get Paulinho. I think he's perfect for Man United right now. He's exactly what we need. I would go out and get him. He's not going to play at Bayern Munich. There is the perfect player there for United. Get him. If it means getting Vlahovic for 17 million on top of that, get him. Get him through the door and fill that team with Premier League experience and experienced strikers that have got a record of scoring goals. I mean, Vlahovic in Serie A averages a goal involvement every other game. Like, he's not shocking. He's not crap. He's better than what we've got. That's what we're saying. And I think that right now moves United forward into next season, where you can go out and spend the money on an Adam Wharton and get that deal done then. The players we want right now are not gettable. But you still need to make sure that you're covered in areas. And you know what? Some of these players will do well as a number 2 or as someone in our squad next season as well. And if they feel like they're good enough to stay in it, they're going to have to prove it. Give them the incentive. I think Paulinho coming back to the Premier League would be absolutely chomping at the bit to prove that he has still got it at the highest level. And you can argue United are not the highest level right now. We're not in the Champions League, nowhere near where Bayern Munich were. But if he helps United get back up there, then that's a big, big win for him. And that's what these players have to be given the incentives of. It's like, you are now going to be judged on bringing Manchester United back. Can you do it? Have you got it? Are you willing to work hard enough? This is where United have to start thinking outside of the box with these players, because it's not all going to happen this summer with the right targets we need. There are going to be other signings that happen that not a lot of people like. Stu says, why Paulinho, Adam? Isn't he the same as Agate? No, he's a better player than Agate. Simple as. He's an 8/6. He can carry the ball forward. He's got an amazing passing range, and Ruben loves it. And if you listen to what Ruben says in press conferences, he's had to drop Bruno Deeper because he's the only one who can pass through the lines and pass through the lines quickly. Watch Paulinho's passing, particularly his long-range first-time passing. He's aggressive, he's quick, and he knows how to pass a ball. That is what we haven't got in midfield, unless you drop Bruno there. But he can tackle, and he's strong, and he works just as hard as someone like Bruno Fernandes. I'm not saying Agate can't progress. He's only 23, and it's time to come. He's not the same player as Manuel Agate, though, I don't think. That's why you get a Paulinho. Graham says, I'm confident that if Sancho goes, Garnacho and Anthony will follow. As you say, Rashford's move is the more difficult one. Yep, complete agreement, Graham, on that one. Thanks for the super chat, mate. He just is. We know he is. He's on the highest wage. He's on the biggest contract. He's a Manchester United fan who has fallen out with Ruben Amorim and has got a history. And he's going to do this club no favours. Absolutely none. It's all going to come down to Manchester United, this, Marcus Rashford. Are you going to stand your ground, or are you going to let him dictate just because you need a player out and you need some money desperately? Where are United at? You have got enough room if you get rid of the other 3. I would stand firm on Marcus Rashford and make the biggest statement that this club has ever made in its history by taking him down a peg or 2 and showing him that this club is not messing around anymore. This will be the single biggest statement for Manchester United in proving to these academy players coming through that times are changing. If you deal with Marcus Rashford the way that the club want to and get more than what he's being offered and don't buckle to the demands of someone like Barcelona who bully football clubs with their... I'm not even going to go into the detail of it, but you know what I mean by this. They bully football clubs in the transfer window. They took us for a ride for Frankie de Jong. They made complete fools out of us. F off. See you later, Barca. Rashford can sit on the sidelines and think about his career. That's what he can do. Vlahovic is not crap, Oliver. He isn't. We know he's better than Rasmus Højlund anyway. He's got a record of scoring goals better than Rasmus Højlund. You can say that, yeah, he's come from Serie A like Rasmus Højlund has. But would you rather have Vlahovic in your team right now, a proven goal scorer in Serie A, or somebody like Rasmus Højlund, who the Times again, and Charlotte Duckner again, saying that at Manchester United, they feel like they can get a Rasmus 2.0, and with a bit of polish, this summer, they can turn him into the striker that they want. Well, polish is the right word, because it's that famous phrase, isn't it? You cannot polish a turd. Now, I'm sorry. Again, it sounds like I'm being really nasty and mean on particular players. But once again, I don't want to be sat there at Old Trafford next season paying fortunes to watch this team and crap players on the pitch getting paid way too much money. I don't want to see it. I've had enough of it already. And if there is one summer that can determine how Manchester United move forward, and again, sorry to say this all the time, Ruben has said this. This is the foundation for what is to come in other transfer windows for Manchester United. It has to be right. And I feel Manchester United have got the perfect opportunity here. Now look, I don't want Manchester United to take cut price on Rasmus Højlund. Perfect scenario is a striker comes in and Rasmus plays two behind him as a make weight and an option. And Rasmus might turn into a better player coming off the bench. I think he's more lethal off the bench than he is starting a game, honestly. He's less time to mess things up. That sounds shit again, sorry. But you know what I mean. Like, he's less time to mess things up. And you know what? His speed and his awkwardness may cause problems for teams late on in games. Striker comes in, he plays number two. We sell Rasmus Højlund next summer because we've got less to pay on him. He's 3 years into his contract. It's easier. But I think he will have a better season if he's playing behind someone. I don't think the pressure's on him. He's not Man United's number one striker. I think, I'll tell you this right now, there's a statement for you. Rasmus Højlund will score more goals next season for Manchester United if we buy another striker in and he is second behind him. If he plays second to another striker, he'll score more goals next season than he has done this season. Guarantee it. And people will say it's not really difficult, Adam, because he really didn't score much this season, did he? But look, normally if you're coming off the bench, you're not expected to do much. You're not expected to score many goals. But I think it suits him where he is right now. He's young. He should be on the bench. He should be learning. He should be the one coming in for a 25, 26-year-old striker when he needs a rest, when he needs to come off the pitch. And we're needing to rest him for maybe 20, 30 minutes in a game, ready for the next game. That's where Rasmus Højlund is in his production, not where these top elite strikers are at Manchester United. It is an absolute travesty that he was pinned up as Manchester United's number one striker. Honestly, absolutely criminal. It was. Not fair on him. Not fair on him at all. Joshua Zirkzee is in the same position. He hasn't done enough to prove he's a starter. He has to work his way into the team. And if these players want to work off the bench and make it happen for themselves, and that's what Man United players used to do. And that's why this team was so successful. Because we had players on the bench that wanted to come on and show that they were worth their weight in gold. And they should be starting games. And every single player starting in a Manchester United shirt was looking over his shoulder, thinking, I need to be absolutely on it today because he's going to take my place. He's going to come on and score. The best way to get more out of a player is competition for places. And if you have got another man there in the way of Rasmus Højlund, you watch what happens. You watch what happens. You sink or you swim. Garnacho, prime example, sank like the Titanic. Didn't like that somebody else came in and took his place for the final. And he sunk. Couldn't handle it. No, I'm sorry, mate. You're wearing a Man United shirt. Well, actually, no, you're not anymore, are you? Mr. Claret and Blue, Mr. Rashford. You're not. No. That's it. That's what a Manchester United player is, or should be. All right, I've lost my place in the team. Oh, that shouldn't be. No, that should be happening because the standards of Manchester United have dropped so far that we need to get back to at least some sort of, I feel, consistent performance basis where players are held accountable for poor performances by being swapped out and put on the bench for the next game. That's it. You should be fearing for your spot. Otherwise, you are going to perform to a level where you know that's just acceptable. And acceptable at United over the last 5 years has been the odd cup run when you turn up on a day when everyone's watching. The consistent level of performance in this team has been diabolical for the last 5 years. It's an absolute disgrace. But there's no way on earth that Rasmus Højlund is Man United's number one striker next season. Surely not. Right, I've gone on for quite a bit there again. I want to get all your comments in on this. Do you agree with me? I'm guessing not a lot of you do. Well, some of you might, actually, but there always is people that don't. Let's have a quick look through what's being said. I've already done the chat, Santa. Sorry there. Right, let's get through a few of these now. Let's have a look. Stephen says, Adam, in capitals. Oh, here we go. Just do Man City get Ineos to sponsor our socks for $1 billion. Problem solved. Gets punished in 5 years after a long Mickey Mouse trial. But who cares by then? Who cares by then? Oh, actually, United will be able to do that because City, believe it or not, are going to open the door up for ownership of clubs to do that. Sponsor the club with their own businesses that they do alone with the football club. That's been capped for years, and that's what City are trying to take. That's what City are actually taking the Premier League to court for. This is why it's all quiet on everything that's going on at the moment in the courts. Manchester City are going to beat the Premier League in this case. The only problem you've got with that is that, yes, Ineos can do that, but why would they do that if they haven't got full power of the club? Whereas the Saudis, no, they own everything at Newcastle. They'll come in and sponsor the club for whatever they want. Manchester City, exactly the same. Nottingham Forest, Chelsea, Ineos, masses and masses and masses of money. Are they going to put that into Manchester United if they are still not the majority shareholder? That's the problem. And yeah, we can all call them out and say this is what you should be doing. Look, they put 300 million in of their own money already. Just to rebuild the training ground and do some work at Old Trafford and spend some money on players. What did the Glazers ever do? They just sat back and gone, thank you. It's your turn now to take all of the flak for this football club. And we'll see what happens with that. We really will. You can't compare Xerxes and Højlund. Xerxes is levels and levels over Højlund and WWE... Højlund, the WWE wrestler. Xerxes has got a bit of tech and football nous about him. I don't think I compared Xerxes to Højlund, did I? I just said that Xerxes is waiting in the back to come on the pitch, like Højlund. He's not ready to start for Manchester United over the players that we should have going into the season. And I'm talking about in the 10 positions, Xerxes is behind for me. He's behind Mbeumo and Cunha. You could argue he's probably where Mount is right now, waiting to come on. That's it. Rasmus should be the same, behind another striker that's brought in. And if I've got Mount, Xerxes, Rasmus on the bench, players like that, I'm thinking that's not too bad. If I then go down into the midfield, if United do buy a midfielder, and I've got the likes of Agate on the bench to come on, because Casemiro's playing, or maybe a Polino or Douglas Luiz, whoever's come in is playing, and I've got Collier there, you're starting to look like you've got a better second string of players. And then you look at centre-back, I mean, God, like you're going to have Harry Maguire on the bench, you're going to have, Aiden Heaven on the bench next season. There's plenty of depth there. That's what I'm talking about. And then players should be ready to go whenever called upon. And that's the old United. That is the old United. How the hell did we get to 43 minutes? My God. If you haven't given the video a like already, thank you for those who have. But if you haven't, bang a like on the video. Thank you, everyone. If you haven't subscribed as well, make sure that you do. We're bringing you all of your up-to-date news. In fact, just to check in on the news and where we're actually at the moment, just to see if anything else has dropped. Let's have a look. We've been talking about Jadon Sancho possibly moving to Fenerbahce and Jose Mourinho wanting him there. Questionable. It's all been driven by Turkish media, that one. So let's see if anything does come of that. How Fenerbahce actually paid in Sancho's wages would be my biggest doubt in that deal, definitely. But when you're also looking at Napoli saying no to Jadon Sancho's wages, you're looking at Juventus willing to do a mega swap deal, give United Vlahovic or Douglas Luiz or another player, then yeah, I can see things actually moving forward on Jadon Sancho. We'll see on that one. Manchester United think they can still get 100 million for Garnacho and Marcus Rashford. That's debatable, of course. Obviously, a player's only worth what a club is willing to pay for him. But what do you think Garnacho and Rashford are worth right now? And in fact, if you're in the live chat right now, and if you're watching later on, please do get your comments in. What are Garnacho and Marcus Rashford worth? Let me know. I can see us winning the league in 3 years, says Tony. I like the confidence, mate. We'll get relegated next season and then take 2 seasons to win the championship. Nice one. Not confident then, mate. I did get suckered in by the opening line there, though, yes. I was a bit surprised, actually. Right. Don't forget, guys, if you are looking for a fantastic retro jersey, I haven't got any on tonight because I'm on a bit of a wash for everything, but you've seen me with all of the different Man United shirts on recently, some custom made ones as well, really cheap. The link in the live chat is for you. Get on there. Some absolutely cracking retros and made up United shirts as well as all of the other South American MLS, Saudi Pro League, Italian, classic international shirts as well. Any Man United shirt that you want is there. If you're a United fan and you want to get hold of a shirt pretty cheap, go and have a look on that site. That's where I get all mine from. That's the link there in the live chat, everybody. I've just pinned it up there that the mods have put up. I'd like Joe Bellingham career trajectory, Championship, and now Bundesliga. United need to monitor his progress. He'll end up at bleeding Madrid just like his brother did. You know what's going to happen. There's a few people dropping their Garnacho and Marcus Rashford's prices in right now. 50 million and a happy meal. 50 million for Garnacho, Ian, and a happy meal for Rashford. I think that's the way around that you want. Daniel says, do some for Sancho. Take it. Definitely could lead the line this season and be in the rotation next season. He's a good striker. 2 bags of crisp and a Coke, says Nico. 2 bags of crisp for Garnacho and a Coke for Rashford. Coke Zero? Diet Coke, Nico? Bit more specific. Come on, mate. Get on it. Not banking on anything Turkish football, I think, and might be shut down soon given the situation. I still think Italy's the best bet for Sancho. Personally, I think that's where he's more than likely going to end up. 50 million for Garnacho and 45 for Rashford, says Brian. So 95 for the pair. I'd snatch your bleeding hand off, mate, at that right now. I would snatch your hand off for them. Particularly the Rashford one. 45 million for both. 90 million, says Mr. Rusty Z. Garnacho 40 to 50. Rashford 35 to 40, says Anthony. 35 and 40 for Victory. 50 million each because they have not been performing. Still got high expectations. I like it. Liam says, ship sailed on Job. If he's worth signing, the fee will be north of 70 million. It will. It will. He's just followed his brother, hasn't he? That's all he's done. He's just copied his trajectory and his career path completely. And that's what's happened. Welsh Red said he'll give 10p mix-up for Rashford. 90 mil for both, says Paula. Yeah, I think I'm pretty much with them there. If you could get 100 million for Rashford, Sancho and Garnacho, would you snap my hands off? I would. I think in reality, right now, if United could get 100 million for them 3 players, all of them off the books, they would take that. That would be massive for Manchester United. In terms of PSR and everything that is worth for United in their reality and how they like to do transfers, that is bloody huge, as they say. Let's see a few more. Surely Sancho has to go on a free. No, this summer might actually look like he's moving on. If we get 60 million for both, are we doing very well, says Carl on that one. Luke Shaw always upped his game when competition came in, says Chris. Yeah, I mean, it's proof there that everybody ups their game when they've got competition. It's natural. It is natural. And I do think that You're going to see that with quite a few players. You know what? I'm not hopeful that Rasmus Højlund will go. Obviously, Romano gives an update on Rasmus Højlund earlier on today as well, when he said that there is still no bid. Inter Milan are still trying. They're negotiating verbally at the moment, because they don't want to put a bid in that is going to be rejected. At the moment, there is nothing in concrete at all, or any sort of writing at all. It's just them finding out exactly what is going to pull what is going to really let Manchester United pull that trigger and let Rasmus Højlund go. And if United stand firm, then Milan are going to have to get somewhere near 40 million for him. It's as simple as that. Okay, that is our show all wrapped up, everybody. Plenty of news to get through there, so plenty of you to comment about. So please do pop your comments in the comment section once the live is finished. Thank you, absolutely legendary comments again tonight from everybody. Mods, you did a great job as always. Thank you everybody who's new, who's got into the comments. If you are new and you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button on the way out to stay up to date with everything that's going on with United. We have over 550 live likes again, which is epic. Again, thank you everybody for all of your support, and I will be back if anything does happen tonight. I will see you later. Other than that, then it is 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, everyone, and we will be bringing you completely up to date with everything going on overnight. Is it going to start kicking into gear proper this last week of June? We'll see. I'll have it covered in the morning. Have a great evening, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow.